I'm Lucy Rose and you're listening to Recess with Spinelli. Asleep in the middle of the bed.
You are listening to Recess with Spinelli, WSPN 91.1 FM, Skidmore College Radio. And today we're here in Zurich, Switzerland with the tea-loving singer-songwriter Lucy Rose from Surrey, England. Thank you so much for joining me today.
No problem.
Now, your brand new album, Work It Out, was just released this past summer, and it has more of an electric feel compared to your debut album, Like I Used To. What was the reason that spurred that change?
I'm not really sure. I guess it just comes from just experimenting more and trying different things. Yeah, the first record was completely acoustic, but I saved up and I bought an electric guitar and I played some songs on that, and I guess I just try to explore what I had inside me a little bit more.
Did it modify the way you write or perform songs?
I don't know. I think the thing is, it's just all really natural as it can be, standing in front of people and singing about things that are important to you. Nothing's really overthought. I wasn't trying to do anything different. I think, in all honesty, the total thing was just a selfish decision to see what I could do. But I still play and sing the same way and, record music the same. So
do you think that you accomplished this well, or what are some of your own critiques on the new album?
I got plenty, but I guess lots of it's just down to whether I'm good enough, is what every artist thinks. Whether people will connect to it, even though I did when I wrote those songs, who knows? It's something I kind of don't think about, because that's the thing about music, is it's subjective to what other people think. So, have to wait and see.
So when you were testing the waters for these new songs, did you play them live to figure out whether or not people would like them, or did you just put them out there and say, here you go, kids?
No, I was playing a lot of them live over the last few years. I think even 2 years ago I was playing some at South by. We were testing them out and they kind of just fitted in quite naturally. I think the thing with my first record, and this one as well, it's not like a big explosion onto the music scene. It's all quite natural and gradual, and most people haven't heard of me, and it's either a friend bringing them along to the show or someone telling them that it'd be a good idea to do something. So then they come and explore. So I don't think they know the difference between the new songs and the old songs, particularly if you're a new person. So it seemed to work, just putting them in the set gradually.
Now, at the end of your shows, what do you hope you leave the audience with? What do you hope they take away?
I think the main thing is, when you're at a gig and you're standing there and you've got lots of different thoughts going through your heads, but if you have that moment that makes you feel something, when that song happens once in a gig, where you feel something. So I think that's just what I'd want to do, make someone feel something, make them feel inspired to do something with their life, or anything. But that's it.
Now, on this album, is there a proudest moment you have, or something that was the most challenging to overcome?
I think the whole thing is I'm very proud of. I'm proud that I've been able to release a second record. It's really tough. I got lots of great friends who are seriously talented back in London, who haven't had that chance yet, and I don't know for whatever reason that is. So I'm very grateful that I'm in the position to be able to release a second record and see what happens. The challenge, I find lyrics really difficult sometimes to get them as good as they can be, and sometimes you just got to abandon it and say, this is how I feel, and who knows if anyone's going to feel the same way as me, but that's, pouring yourself into it. But that's quite difficult to reach that part, and the challenge is the pressures that come with doing a second record. The first one I had no expectations for, so it was easy kind of just to release it and see what happened. With this one, I didn't want to let anybody down who liked the first record, so there was that sort of pressure.
Actually, regarding your songwriting, you do all of that yourself, right? You don't do any co-writing?
Correct, yeah. I've done it all myself, which is sometimes, you don't realise that doesn't happen as much, but it's also not a difficult, it's not an easy thing to come to, because the pressure on co-writing is huge nowadays, especially as a solo artist, and maybe especially as a female solo artist, the pressure to co-write's quite immense. So to stay clear of that was something I was very passionate about, to see what I was capable of personally.
How come you do steer away from the co-writing? What are some of the reasons?
I don't know, because I think the reasons are very personal to me, because for all those people that do co-write, I think that's a really great thing. And if you want to do that and you find someone that you can connect to and you can write beautiful music with, that's brilliant. But for me, I couldn't pour myself out in front of someone I've never met before, or barely knows me, or has only met me because he's a songwriter. It takes me a while to come to terms with my own feelings of what I'm writing about, let alone be able to express it immediately and talk about it in a room with somebody and use something that's very personal to make a song, because even then that's when I do it alone. I think if I did it in a room with someone, it would feel slightly false and manufactured in a way.
Hey, getting into a little bit of your history, why did you get involved in music? What spurred this passion? What started it all?
Like every kid around the world who wants to get into music, it's just the same feeling of music makes you feel something that nothing else does. And being able to do it as a living and for the rest of your life, I think, is lots of people's dreams. And it just was my dream. I was just like another normal kid who just wanted to play music. I wrote songs for me anyway, irrelevant to whether I was get to do it as a living. I'd be writing music now anyway, just for myself. The pure therapeutic sort of way that it makes you feel to write music. You don't start writing music for success or for all the things that you think come with it. You write it because of how it makes you feel to play music and the enjoyment that you feel when you're playing music. So I guess I just did that, and it just more people seemed to be interested in what I was doing. And I thought maybe I'll go and play some gigs. I'd never played gigs until I was 18. I was just writing for me in my bedroom. And then when people sort of suggested that maybe I tried to do some gigs and see what happened, then I thought, all right, let's give it a go.
Well, was that like a nervous point to actually get up and perform these in front of people for the first time?
Terrifying, really, really nervous. I had no idea how to sing into a microphone. I'd never even plugged a guitar in. I didn't even think my guitar could plug in, so mic it up. I was the least professional, and probably still am the least professional musician to ever live, and it's always terrifying and nervous. You're putting yourself out there and you're desperately wanting to be accepted for who you are.
So how long after you first started playing did it take to start getting some exposure?
A long time. I think probably 5 years until I sold out my first London show of just doing open mics, working in London, writing constantly, meeting other musicians that would play with me, and making friends by putting on my own music nights and things like that. I think about 5 years into it, I started doing shows which would sell out, just small ones, 100 capacity or something. And then that grew into 500 capacity sold out venues, and I did a little UK tour. But still at that point, no one from the actual music industry was interested in me in any way. Quite the opposite. I think I'd been written off by most people. So I just carried on doing it, and then I ended up just recording my own album myself with just the help of friends and people lending me equipment to do it. We just recorded it in my parents' living room. Once that happened, suddenly the industry decided they wanted to give me a go, and that's when I got I signed and a record got released.
For that initial 5-year period before you started selling out the gigs in London, what were some of the motivations that you had that kept you pursuing this career, pursuing this passion?
I honestly was just really happy. I think some of the happiest times of my life were playing those open mics to nobody, but playing music. I mean, you really can't describe it. I think people sometimes think it's hard and it's sad to be playing music in front of nobody, but I was doing what I loved, you know what I mean? It didn't really matter that nobody was there at that point. And I kind of feel that like, even now when we go on tour, you have to remind yourself of why you're doing it, the joy that playing music brings you. So it wasn't really hard to keep going at it because I just enjoyed it so much.
If you didn't end up down this career though, what were some other things that you were considering? What were some other tracks you were looking to go down?
Well, I had a place at university to study. I think that sort of eased my parents into understanding the path I was choosing in life. To do music was to have this backup plan very ready and available to take at any moment when it all went downhill, which I'm sure most people would imagine it would have, because it's so difficult. So I had that, but there was no other real passion. I think after I started playing music and I started booking gigs and putting on my own nights, I kind of felt like if I didn't make it in music, I enjoyed the industry so much, I enjoyed watching bands play music so much that I would enter it still, even as like a booking agent or a promoter, or in any way I could, just to be able to watch music and be involved.
So you are known for having a passion for tea. It almost seems stereotypical English, though.
I'm just like any other British person in the United Kingdom. We all love to drink tea, or lots of us do. And I just sell it just sometimes on the road because I think it's a little bit fun, maybe a bit funner than a T-shirt. Sometimes just have a few tins of tea, and it's this little blend I made, and it's just honestly just a bit of fun, nothing too serious.
Do you find you end up selling through some of the tea more than the merchandise?
Oh yeah, tea's big here. I'll tell you what, it really is. And especially places that don't drink tea as well, I think they're quite intrigued of what we're selling, and they'll buy a pot. But yeah, people sometimes complain if I don't bring my tea with me.
Well, it definitely makes it a little bit more of a unique purchase that you can buy at merchandising.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, and this final question I'm going to leave up to you. It's anything else you want to add? Any final thoughts, comments, promotions, anything you want?
I'm just chuffed to be on a US radio show. We toured America a couple years ago, and I genuinely think it was the greatest weeks of my life. It was just an experience like none other. So I just hope to be able to come back, and thank you for just letting me have this opportunity.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me.
No worries.
You have been listening to Recess with Spinelli, WSPN 91.1 FM, Skidmore College Radio. And we have been speaking with singer-songwriter Lucy Rose from Surrey, England, now based in London. And her sophomore album, Work It Out, is available for purchase now.
Oh, won't you comfort